VikesNow. I am Dustin Baker. We are chilling on April 19th. We are not far away from the NFL draft, which promises to be a almighty crescendo for these Vikings. We are continuing our fan segment. It went wonderfully last week. Even though everybody predicted Michael Penix to the Vikings, I was shell-shocked by that. But we proceed nevertheless. I have Chris Reid from Monticello. He's on today, a first-time guest. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Not bad at all. So the first thing I asked the guys last week, and I want to know the exact same thing from you, is tell me a little bit about yourself and how you became a Viking fan.
Oof. I've been born and raised in Minnesota. So purple was kind of in my blood as soon as I was born. I've lived around the country, a few different spots, but the Vikings always had the Vikings on in the car. Didn't matter where we were. I think one of the earliest memories I have of being a Vikings fan is, of course, it's a bad memory, but it's, the 88 NFC Championship game or the 87 season against the Redskins, right? And Darren Nelson drops that 4th and 2 pass on the 1 yard line, which would have sent us to the Super Bowl. Thick and thin, I'm always a Vikings fan, always have been, always will be. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. So we've all been there. The heartbreak of 98, of 2000. That really wasn't even a heartbreak. That was just more of a laughing stock of what the hell just happened here in this game. I try to remain as positive and optimistic as I can about the Vikings. Too much negative in the world today, so don't need to pile on it with, a heartbreak Vikings loss. It's just like, okay, this is just normal. Let's just go to the next thing and move on about our day. But the Vikings always, even my little daughter, her first memory is of the 2017 Miracle.
Oh, yeah.
I got a picture of her in just a Harrison Smith jersey, just doing the skull chant. Like, she had no idea what was going on. I'm running around the house. I ran and shoveled the driveway in 5 minutes because it was so much adrenaline from that. So the highs, the lows. I love my team. Always do. Represent wherever I go. Was in the Bahamas in March and wore a bunch of Viking stuff everywhere I went. So got to represent. Yeah.
Yeah,
the soundboard. That's where we play the applause sound effect.
The 87 NFC Championship, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked it up real quick, but I'm pretty sure that started the string of NFC Championship losses, and I believe we're sitting on 5 or 6 in a row, on top of 4 Super Bowl losses in a row. I always tell people if you want to know why are Vikings fans so pessimistic, it's because they've lost 10 straight Super Bowls or NFC championships.
And it's not in the way they lose it. I mean, it's not that they lost. It's in the way that they lost it, right? Like a drop pass that they probably completed 800 times throughout the regular season, right? A missed kick that from a guy who hasn't missed a kick in 2 years. The 41 donut was just an ass kicking of epic proportions. And we saw what the Giants did against the Ravens in that Super Bowl anyway. So, and then you have 09, right? And then you have 17, just, I don't know.
There's too many of them.
One of these days, man, it'll happen. And when it happens, downtown Minneapolis will party for 2 weeks straight. It will be a party that no other city could ever throw.
Oh yeah.
Like, it would just be fantastic. And I will be a part of that for two straight weeks.
I think we all will. I think Brevin will even get up here. All right, Brevin, let's kick this off with you, good sir. I want to know, what do you have for Chris today?
Yeah, so of course we're 6 days away from the draft, but let's get your thoughts first on the free agency that the Vikings have had. Are you a fan? How are you kind of reacting to the moves they made?
I am a fan, actually. I was in the camp of bring Cousins back, right? He's been one of the best quarterbacks this franchise has ever had, minus the injury, right? He didn't miss games. He was, I don't know, just from a statistical standpoint, just one of the best. And he flourished with Kevin O'Connell, right? In this offense, you could tell just his confidence grew when he had coordinators and coaches that let him let loose and not hold him back any. But with that even being said, look at who we were able to sign without signing Cousins, right? We got 5 or 6 guys in the money that we saved from not signing Cousins. I thought they did well. It'll be interesting to see how Aaron Jones does in this offense. If he can stay healthy, he's elite. He's one of the best backs in the NFL. It's just that health aspect of it. How are they going to pair him with Ty Chandler? How's that backfield going to look? I like what they did on the defensive side. Was it Greenard or Greenwood from
Greenard.
Greenard from the Texans, Cashman, Van Ginkel from the Dolphins? Like, they got guys that fit the scheme that Flores wants to run, and they're getting younger, right? So they're getting rid of these aging contracts that Spielman had. So it'll be interesting to see. They're setting themselves up, I don't think for this year. I think they're setting themselves up for 25, 26. But they have, 100 and some odd million in cap space next year, and then even more in 26. So they're in a good spot. Now they have to be able to perform, and we'll see how this goes. I think Darnold will do good. He's not been in positions where he has been here. I think he's 4-2 in his last 6 starts as an NFL quarterback, which pretty decent. Not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes or, a Tom Brady-esque type of thing, but I think you get him in the right system with the right players. He could flourish. Will that happen? I guess time will tell. But I do like what they did this year. I do. I'm excited to see how KOC is going to use Darnold and Jones. I'm excited how Flores is going to do the masterful things he does from the blitz scheme on the defense, and where he goes from that. Now, if they can all stay healthy, I guess that's the big thing here is the health of this organization. The last 5 weeks of last season just decimated that season. So yeah, it was a good off season. I'm excited. So yeah.
I do want to ask you this here. You talk about this team potentially going on a run, 2025, 2026, like that. You think that's their window, right? So what I want to ask you is there a price limit that you would have in terms of giving up draft capital in 2025, potentially even 2026, for the Vikings to go up and get their guy? Or is is there a limit to that, or is it just we're gonna give up what we're gonna give up to get our favorite player?
When it comes to this, I'm in the camp that you keep 11 and 23. Do I think that happens? No, I don't. I think they do move up. That 25 first rounder is kind of the whole what if situation. And I know Vikings fans, and we're always about well, what if they did this or didn't do that, or too scared to move up. If it's going to be a bad season, you want that 25 first rounder, right? Because it could possibly be in the top 10 where you can fill other holes that you might need. But you also have 125 million in cap space where you could fill those holes with proven guys who've already played in the NFL, right? And so it's kind of that catch 22, right? Is it one or the other? Um, I'm torn, to be honest with you. It's tough because you do want to look in the future. You do have a small window here. You've got young talent in Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson, and you got to get Darisaw resign, O'Neal, right? And if Aaron Jones goes off, resign him, right, and keep him going. And then you got to possibly find in the draft or in free agency someone that's going to replace Harry, right? Like, is this his last year? There's all those questions that you have. So long-winded answer, sorry. Would I? No. Will they? Yes. I think this team has a lot of holes that they need to fill, and you have 2 first-round picks, right? So let's say Dallas Turner falls to you at 11, right? That dude's a stud out of Alabama, right? An edge rusher. Or do you go cornerback at 11, or do you trade back from 11 and pick up maybe a possible day 2 pick in second round, and then you get an interior offensive lineman. I forget the guy from is it Oregon, the center there. Not that Bradbury's bad, but
Jackson Powers, Johnson,
yeah,
something like that.
Bradbury struggles against these big, beefy, D tackles like Kenny Clark from Green Bay, right? So, do you go get him, or do you was it Versa from Florida State, and then you draft Penix at 23 or Bo Nix at 23? So, like, there's ways you can fill this roster and still amass draft capital. And I know people are probably going to come and be like, dude, no, we got to go get our quarterback of the future. We do. And they've been watching this class for the last 2 years. They knew this is the year that they're going to do it. I do think they give up 11, 23, and a 25 first to get to 4. I think they do have a walking away price where it's too steep, where you don't want to mortgage too much of your draft equity in the future. So do I want them to do that? No. Will they? I think so. I think they get up to 4 with Arizona. I think New England's asking price might be 11, 23, 25 first, and possibly 25 third.
It keeps growing.
It does, but they're trying to play, right. I think they're saying the Giants want to jump to number 3. I think Arizona's pretty set at 4. I think they want the receiver and Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's just interesting. There's so many different scenarios that we could all plan in our head that we want, and everyone's going to be different on the things that they think were going to happen. So, again, personally, I wouldn't move up. I think May is good. But you saw he struggled last year. 22, he was really, really, really good when he had a team around him. We saw what J.J. McCarthy does with the Michigan teams that he's lost once in the last 2 years. So, and how he handled that game against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. He didn't have to do much in that national championship game against Washington. So it'll be interesting to see, like, what if Washington takes May at number 2?
Yeah.
Do you go up and get Daniels at number 3? Or do you wait till 5 to trade with the Chargers to get JJ? Or do you think there's just a bunch of smoke screens that are going on and maybe JJ falls a little bit where you're not giving up as much draft capital? Maybe they give up 11 and do a swap, and then maybe a 4th round pick of this year, and keep 23. So
let me ask you, so we'll ask you at the very end for a formal prediction, like with a human to go along with what you suggested. But if I am going to ask this of Thor Nystrom here in a few hours, and I know he's going to say J.J. McCarthy.
He's a big JJ guy.
Yeah, he is. But if so expanding on what you just said, what if you were in charge, what would you do? What is your recommendation? I'm talking guys. So it sounds like you'd stay at 11 and 23. So tell me, what is your draft recommendation for these Vikings in round 1?
Hypothetically, let's say they stay at 11 and 23. There's no trading back. I think you take BPA at 11, edge rusher, corner. If Neighbors is there as a wide receiver, maybe you go grab him too, right? Like, you got to take the BPA, right? Like, always take best player available. Like in 07, right? Chester Taylor just came off a 1,400-yard season the year before. Adrian Peterson falls to him. You take him, right? Like, he's a game changer. In 98 or 97, when the Vikings drafted Moss for the 98 season, right? They had Chris Carter and Jake Reed, and they had a stud of an offense. You do what it takes to make your team better. And I think at 23, you could take that quarterback of the future. Penix could be the guy, Bo Nix. My worry about Penix is now Brian O'Neill is your left tackle, right? He's the blindside help, and he struggled a little bit last year. So how do you feel about the left-handed quarterback? And how do the receivers feel about that? I know the ball comes out different, right? Like, the blocking schemes change, the protection changes, like everything just flops. Or switches, sorry. That's what I would recommend. Again, do I think that happens? No. I do.
No, we're gonna. That's okay, because we're gonna get to the prediction here in about 8 minutes. It's good to know the recommendation. So you have the best football player at number 11, like quite literally if you're endorsing a neighbor's tumble. And then I'm going to guess, I personally think Nix will slide out of round 1. Penix,
I do too.
Penix, I can see that one either way. The Raiders are a team that always does confusing stuff that could grab him a little too early than most would. So they're the wild card. Let's see. All right, Brevin, I think you got another item for Chris Reid.
Yeah. So now we're going to year 3 of Kwesi and Kevin. So now we're finally starting to see Kwesi's vision kind of unfold, at least like he's kind of setting up the board for what he wants. So where are you in terms of having faith in Kwesi? Do you trust him? Do you like what he's doing? What do you think?
I think I like what he's doing in the free agency aspect of it. Working in analytics myself, I get that aspect of it. Numbers don't lie, right? Like they speak the truth of what's going on. I don't have a lot of faith in his drafting ability. He's failed pretty hardcore over the last couple drafts, and I think that's why we're in the position that we're at. Not that saying that the guys he picked were all that bad. He has a few home runs in there, right? Addison's a home run. He's got a few good starters that we've had, but overall, the lack of depth that this team has is because of the failure of the drafting of the last couple of years. He got worked by the Lions to move back from 12 to 32, something along those lines. I think he's learned from that. I think that's why he's like, there is a walking away price that is too steep. I like the vision. I like the way he's assembled this team for the future. He's gotten rid of a lot of bad contracts that Spielman had signed. And yeah, a lot of fan favorites. Thielen's gone, right? Dalvin Cook is gone. All of them, they're gone. But
all of them besides Ham and Hitman.
Yeah. It's just he looked at this roster, right, and said, okay, we need to set ourselves up, and he did, and they're in a good spot now. I mean, realistically, I mean, even this year, they should be able to make a decent run. With that being said, they still have the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL this year, so it'll be interesting. I do like what he's doing. I do think he still has to prove himself. And I think drafting a quarterback gives him a couple more years, right? And it gives KOC a couple more years. Not that I don't think KOC's on the hot seat, because he's just doing what he can with the roster that he has. So yeah, it's good. I'm on board, but I still want to see more. I still want to see better. I still want to see a better draft to help this team reach the pinnacle, right? We as Viking fans all want that Lombardi here. And that's the end goal. So yeah.
Yeah, you talk about drafting BPA. I mean, hey, Paul Allen suggested it. What if you get Brock Bowers? You saw Kevin O'Connell's reaction to that. His little smirk. But no, like let's just dive into this a little bit. Let's say the Vikings go BPA at 11, like Dallas Turner, right?
Yep.
And then I guess what I would be wondering is, do the Vikings like Penix or Bo Nix enough to even warrant drafting them, even at 23, even if they trade back into like the 2nd round to get them at a better value, just ADP?
Yep.
Would it be better if you're going to go BPA at 11, why not go BPA at 23 and then just kick the can down the road into 2025? And if you think you're going to have a bad team, perhaps you're in the top 10 again, and you could get like a Shedeur Sanders or a Quinn Ewers if you wanted to go that route. Like, I guess how opposed would you be of the Vikings saying, you know what, we're not going to draft a quarterback this year at all?
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, right? Like we see reports and we read all the different things of, don't be surprised if the Vikings do this or do that kind of type of thing. I do think they need to hit on a quarterback this year. Next year's class isn't as touted as this one. Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if I want that issue with Dion and all the crap that comes with that. And we saw, he started out great last year, but he didn't do as well against bigger competition, right? And not saying that what he did in was it the FCS? Where was he at? A smaller school before going to
Jackson State.
Jackson State before he went to Colorado. It's a step up, and he saw what it was. And going from Division I football to the NFL is a bigger step. So I think you have to hit on your quarterback this year. I've seen reports and read things of they love all 5 of the top quarterbacks that aren't Caleb Williams, right? They know realistically that's just not going to happen. Only KOC and Kwesi know that. I mean, that's again another interesting question of, do you do best player available 11 and 23, or do you? I mean, if they can't get the guy they want, I think that's what they do, and maybe trade that 23 for an early day 2 pick and get Penix or Nix, and still get the guy they want. I mean, do the fans want that? No. I mean, we'll see what happens on Twitter that night. If that happens, it'll be a massive shit show, and I'm here for it. So it'll be fun to watch and read. But I don't know. It's tough. Like, again, they have lots of holes they have to fill, and they have 2 first-round picks, but you don't make that trade for pick 23 if you're not going to move up in the draft.
One last thing from me to you, Chris, is you say you're a pretty optimistic fan. I want to know your prediction for the Vikings record here in 2024.
Oof. Oh, man. I'd have to look at their schedule. It's technically a 3rd place schedule, but it's the 5th hardest in the NFL. I think I saw. It's the hardest in the NFC North. They got to go to London. So there's a home game gone right there. Oh, assuming everyone stays healthy, I could see probably 10-7. I think would be a good realistic record.
So you're leaning full tilt into this Darnold thing, then?
I am. I think
Okay.
he was drafted at number 3 for a reason, right? There's a reason he was coming out of college as a highly touted quarterback. He went to the Jets. I think that's where quarterbacks go to die. Them and the Bears, right? Like,
We love
you
it.
don't have. Doesn't have the whole surrounding cast that he has here, with an all-pro wide receiver, a hell of a number 2 wide receiver in Addison, a top 5 quarterback or tight end in the NFL once he comes back in Hawkinson, right? And then you have an elite running back in Aaron Jones. He doesn't have to be the guy. He can be a true, I guess, game manager, but still make some really good plays because he has the weapons around him. So, I'm always optimistic. I know me and my friends will in a Facebook chat every year. We go, okay, what's the record for the NFC North? And then we all take it down, and then by the end of the year, we see who was the closest and who's the best. I'm always the one that's like, oh, they're gonna go 12-5, 13-4. But realistically, I think 10-7 would be a good record, especially coming off a 7 season where they had the chances to do well. But I think the injuries just caught up to them.
Okay. All right. Here's the last thing. So with your recommendation, you had best player available at 11, and then probably whoever they like at quarterback at 23. If you want my personal opinion on that recommendation, if that comes to fruition, I believe at 11 that will be Quinion Mitchell, cornerback, and then at 23, I'm gonna guess that they would, close your ears, Brevin, go with Penix over Nix at 23. That's just the recommendation part. But throw that out the window now, Chris, because I'm asking this of everybody. I want to know, when we put our asses on the sofa Thursday night, what do you expect to see? Like, what is your, if you were going to gamble on it, what is like, all right, here's what I think is going to happen. Let us have it.
I think a lot will have to depend on what Washington does at 2. I'm seeing that they like Daniels, but they also like May, right? So I think they give up 11, 23, and a 25 first.
Okay.
And I think they move up to number 5 with Los Angeles, the Chargers.
We get it.
And I think they take JJ McCarthy at 5. I think he best suits this offense. I think his accuracy when he runs is phenomenal, right? He's got good arm strength. He's got that winning mindset already. He's got that quote unquote dog in him. He's a respected quarterback, right? Like he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, and you see what Jim Harbaugh says about him. So, I mean, he was with him for 3 years, and Harbaugh's a pretty good coach. Hopefully the scandal that doesn't tarnish that, but I think they take 11-23 and a 2025 first, and they give up that to move up to number 5 and take JJ McCarthy.
And will you be excited about that captain optimism?
I would be. Does he compete with Darnold right away, or do they just name Darnold the starter right away? And
Darnold.
Yeah, I agree, but I would be okay with that. I mean, I'm going to be okay with whoever the Vikings quarterback is, right? I want to see the Vikings win. I want to be able to, in mid-November or mid-February, party like it's 1999, right? Like go all Prince on it. It'll be good. I mean, I don't think they can go wrong with who they pick, right? May, McCarthy, Daniels, right? I mean, Caleb Williams. I mean, if that would be fantastic, but obviously,
oh god, that'd be a shocker.
Oh my god, that'd be phenomenal. Yeah. I think we'd all crap ourselves and go, "What the hell just happened? The Vikings just got Caleb Williams." So, I would be excited with whoever they draft. I'm a Vikings fan. I'm not like, oh my god, JJ Stan, right? Like, oh, it's JJ McCarthy or bust, like type of thing. So, in the end, we just want our team to win finally that the coveted Lombardi Trophy.
I'm with you. All right, where can we find you on Twitter? I think I forgot to ask that at the top.
It is at Chris_Reid 1018.
Okay.
Yeah, follow me. I'm nothing exciting. I'm very positive. Try to post positive, influential stuff. Yeah, I just getting more into the Twitter game and things like that. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you let us know sometime in, let's say, May or June. Brevin and I do a Saturday night segment where we talk with folks like around about 10 p.m. Central Time to kind of get the temperature of the state of the Vikings. We'd love to chat with you then. For the rest of the gang, we will talk with Thor Nystrom later today, and then we got a whole plethora of guests for draft week. Otherwise, gentlemen, you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, all right?
You as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Right.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Take it easy.